Welcome to the Women Who AI podcast, the show where bold women come to the front row. I'm your host, Kelley Tenny, founder of Women Who AI, and every week I'm bringing you real conversations with the women who are building, automating, and making history in the AI space.
Hello, everybody. Kelley Tenny here with Women Who AI, and I am here today with the amazing Mahoney, and we are celebrating Women's History Month with a little bit of fun conversation. Because if you know Molly, if you know anything about what she's done, you know that talk about women in history. She is someone that is always making history, and so she was kind enough to come on with her magic AI fairy godmother wand to just talk a little bit about what it takes to be a woman in history. And really, Molly, I want to hear about just what do you think are the characteristics and the mindset that drives women being able to do something that's making a mark in history and really just thinking differently outside of the box. But before we do that, I want to share, some of you may not know this, but Molly comes from a long line of women in history, including someone who I think played a sport,
That is so
right?
I have a poster of I have a little framed thing of her.
Yes, get it.
Hold on.
Okay, she's gonna get it, and I'm bringing this up because for those of you that don't know, they just brought the women's baseball league back. It's something that's just started up. It's been a big deal this month, obviously, because of the nature of the month. But Molly had somebody who actually played in the original women's baseball league.
This is my great aunt, Marie Mahoney. If you look her up, you'll find Red Mahoney was her name. There are all kinds of cool photos. And she and I were very close. She was I was raised Catholic. She was my confirmation sponsor. She was really active on Facebook also. And at one point, my name on Facebook was Molly Equality Mahoney Dominguez, during all the Prop 8 stuff. And she sent me a card addressed to Molly Equality Mahoney. And my only regret is I never asked her if she really thought that was my middle name. But it was so awesome.
So cool.
I got a report on her in 8th grade. But then I found this one on eBay or some sports memorabilia with signed by her and some after she passed away. That's so cool.
I love it. Well, I had to bring that up because anyone who was I don't know where Molly gets it from. It's that is exactly where she comes from, a long line of women that have been forward thinkers in doing things different, shaking it up, making a mark in history. And Molly, you're the one that introduced me to AI, way back in the day. You were a super early adopter of AI, and you've done a lot of things that I think are milestones, not only with AI, but certainly when it comes to women using AI. Do you want to share a little bit about what just way back then kind of sparked your interest? Did you have a gut feeling around this is going to be really big, or you've always got this intuition, I think, of when just when to hop on things and be one of the first? So where does that come from?
Yeah, well, with this, actually, it's interesting because the person that introduced me to AI in the way that we're using it for business is actually Jamie O'Connor, and I am meeting with her later today, which is so cool.
Awesome.
I know. So really, she just sent me a Facebook message and was like, oh, have you seen this tool? Conversion.ai is what it was called at the time. This was way back in 2021. And I tried it and I thought, oh my gosh, this is so cool. It was just so magical. And I love things that give you that instant, oh my gosh, kind of feeling. And so one thing that I did different, right away, and this is something, as you know, that I did with BeLive, which was a live streaming tool that I was really connected to, with ManyChat. And Kelley and I used to work together. We would build all kinds of ManyChat things together back in the day. And then with Conversion.ai, which later became Jarvis, and then they changed their name to Jasper, I actually went and I thought, okay, who is the founder of this? And I messaged him just in a little Facebook message. I said, hey, I really love this tool and I would love to bring it to my community. Do you want to do a video together? And most people are not brave enough to reach out to the founders of these software tools, and they are usually wanting more visibility. So it's just, he was like, yeah, sure. So we did a video together, and then I became obsessed and became a major affiliate of theirs. And then I launched our AI content club based on how to use Jasper. So it was basically for my affiliates at first. And then as everything changed and everything, we started charging for it. And now it's awesome.
Yeah. And let's talk about that AI content club, because I think, honestly, you were probably one of the first people to actually launch like an AI centered community where you're teaching about AI and things like that, which is crazy because there are so many AI communities out there. And but you literally had the first one.
I've searched all over, and I do think that I can say that I had the first one because I've not found one that started before us. And honestly, back then, I think people were like, yeah, that's cool, but And what changed was I remember it was like during the holidays, ChatGPT came out, I think maybe in November or October. By the time that, just like with Clubhouse, okay. By the time that holiday break came, everybody got a chance to actually spend some time with it. And they became obsessed and saw the magic. But then I actually had a little bit of a pout fest for like a week. Like, I started an AI club first. Why are all these people using AI now? But then I got my ish together and realized, wait a minute, yo, this is a huge opportunity. So it ended up being super awesome. So I was asked to speak on all these events. I mean, I always love the story of how you started Women Who AI because we went to this event in San Francisco on Valentine's Day, which I was like, why would you plan this on Valentine's Day? That Jasper hosted. And it was so cool to be in that room with all those people who were really, even more techie than we were, most of them, but really using AI. And now what I think we can do is be this translator from the tech world into the human world. And it's super fun.
Yeah, it is really fun. And for those of you that don't know the history of Women Who AI, that was birthed from, as Molly shared, some funny idea in a little corner where I was like, we are on a freaking summit. And she was like, do it. And she made the promise to always be on my summits, no matter how big she got. Thank goodness. I think I won the deal on that one. I tell people all the time. But even things like this is kind of birthed, like what was the first women-led AI community, even
It's so cool.
sprouting up, which is awesome. And so I think, just in the nature and in honor of Women's History Month, you mentioned one thing, which was being brave, right? Having the courage to just go and do the thing. But what else do you think it takes, for everybody that's out there, especially in a world where like imposter syndrome is always showing up? Like none of us actually do anything where we think, I could be the first, or this could be something that's like actually historical that like makes a mark in this area. What do you think is the mindset around what you do?
So I actually was just talking about this when it comes to AI agents. And I didn't know you were going to ask this question, but I have a little framework because I'm obsessed with frameworks. And I have these 5 C's that I think actually really help with this. And the first one, before the confidence, there's 2 things that come before confidence. The first is clarity in what the F you actually want. So Kelley and I both went through this program with our good friend Felicia Cersei, where we got to ask ourselves the most important question, which is, what would you love? And most people aren't brave enough to actually do that. So can I show you something that I did recently?
Yeah.
I have built this tool called the Dream Activator that you answer a few questions. And then I built this a long time ago. It gives you an AI version of your dream life. And so now I've taken that and I've put it into our, so Kelley knows this, but just for everybody, we have this thing called your star tasks in your business that helps you to be able to track the revenue generating activity. And so what I've done is I've put the star tasks in this app. Can I screen share? Is that okay?
Yeah.
And this is for the clarity piece, right? The first thing that you get when you're in the star tasks is your dream life. So you put the answers to these questions in, and then it gives you this letter from your future self. And then it celebrates all the things that you're happy and grateful for. And then I've put a spot in here for music, and I turned it into a song, which I just want to play a little bit of it because I've been listening to it every single morning. I need to share the sound. I forgot to do that. Hold on one second. Okay. So listen. Wait. Here we go.
Hey, you, I just wanted to take a moment to remind you that every step you're taking right now is leading you to a life filled with joy, connection, and purpose. I'm so proud of how far you've come in helping others unlock their creativity and live their true selves. Keep
Cool, right?
Oh, I love
And then it goes into literally everything that I had on my list.
and grateful that my home is surrounded by palm trees and has a beautiful view of the beach. I'm being grateful.
So having this clarity, right, and listening to this song every morning has allowed me to be able to make better decisions because I know what I actually want. So figure out what you actually want and then remind yourself of it every day. So that clarity piece is the first piece.
Can you talk a little bit? So clarity is one thing, right? But when we think about history, I I want to pick your brain on whether you think history is made from that clarity and intention, or is history something that people stumble upon?
When you say like people who make history, or do you mean like what do you mean by I think
Yeah.
history is a collection of all the things that have happened, whether it was some of it. Well, first of all, I think whether you recognize you have clarity that you're creating or you don't, you are creating.
Right, right. Yeah.
Because I mean,
Yep.
I was at an event recently and there's this guy, we'll call him Jay, who's at this event. That's not his name, but he's at this event and he's doing like millions of dollars a month in Facebook ads, and he does ad management. He's awesome, but he's so unassuming. And he's always like asking questions that my friend and I look at him like, you are doing so well. Send these questions. So he was like, I just don't know why my life always feels like chaos. I feel like my life is always chaos. And we asked him a little more about what it was. And he's like, well, I've got my kids at home and my, all this stuff. And then clients stuff with team, it's all chaos. And I said, well, you keep saying my life is chaos. So you're creating the chaos just by saying it out loud. Like, what would you actually love it to be? And if you started repeating that, is that what you would create?
Yeah. I love that. I
About-
think mindset is such a big thing. And I think whether or not we recognize it, I mean, you and I probably would agree that like nothing is accidental,
Yeah.
right? Like to some extent, everything
Yeah. And I mean, we've
we
talked
play
a
some
lot
part.
about like, whatever and things are happening for us. And it's the way that we respond to those things. So, I mean, do I think there's an opportunity that you could take like, so a couple years ago, I was having, I had said yes to an event that I should not have said yes to. And I was walking to go to dinner. No one else wanted to walk with me. It was beautiful outside. And I was like, whatever, I'm going to walk. You guys take an Uber. It's gorgeous out. And I was walking and it was amazing. And I tripped and fell on the sidewalk. And I come back to that freaking moment at least 3 times a day now because I tore the cartilage in my wrist. Like all these other things became because of me tripping on the sidewalk there. But I also know that if I had had clear intention in knowing that event was not right for me,
Yeah.
which I knew, right? Things could have gone a totally different way. And so by making the decision about the intention that you want, if you don't make that decision and you let yourself get sucked into someone else's tornado, that's also a decision.
Huh?
Well, I'm going to
Yeah.
sneeze. Hold on. I am sneezing like crazy.
Allergies. Allergies. Yeah. I mean, I think you're right. Like everything is the result of some kind of decision that we make or a decision that we fail to make that leads us to
That
where,
is another decision. Like you're still making a decision not to make a decision.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what do you think, just knowing, I mean, you're really in the AI space, you speak at like all of the events, you have so many conversations because you're at events, you hear a lot of other people speak, you're in high level masterminds. What do you think need to change in order for women to make a bigger impact in AI. Like, I think even though more and more women are rising, which is amazing and which I love, I think we can still say that there's probably still more male leaders in the AI
A million.
space, right?
I will tell you exactly what I think it is. Most of the women that I know simply do not show up.
Mhm.
And it's so weird to me. But then I think about the times that I have like really shown up, and there are moments where people are jerks. I can see why some women don't want to show up. And I think back to the many chat days and how over the top supportive the messenger bot community back there was about women, and they made such a big deal, like ManyChat especially. And I don't know if that came from Mike or who that came from, but they made such a big deal to support women. And I have not seen that happening as much in the AI space. And I do think it's cool, like with Claude, their president, or what does she do? I don't know. There's a woman. I think there are women making an impact, obviously. But I have also seen, like we've talked about, when I was one of the keynote speakers at the High Level event, and High Level is another company that does so much to make sure there is representation. But I was speaking on that stage, and I show a picture of me on a panel with a bunch of other men, and I'm the only woman, which often happens. And I said something like, "It's been really great. I've been able to be featured on panels like this." And I said, "Now you may notice, like, what's interesting about this picture, I'm the only woman." And I say, like, I have 2 amazing sons, and I have an amazing husband, and I'm very much here for all the men to have more visibility in this space. There's room for all of you. But I also find that for the women, like, it's time for you to step up. I would love to help you. Some guy in the audience wrote on his Facebook profile, "If women wanted to be on stage in the AI space, don't you think they would be?" I'm like, interesting take. Then that same talk, another woman who was another speaker at the event took a picture of me on stage I had a slide that said GPTs or custom GPTs on it. And what I have found is that most people don't know how to make custom GPTs. I was just on another training right before this where someone said, "Yeah, I feel like they're the training wheels." I am doing crazy things with skills and MCPs and all kinds of advanced stuff. But if the people that you're speaking to don't understand what a custom GPT is or how that works, like they're gonna be left behind. So that's what I was saying. Well, this woman took this picture of me and she posted it in her stories and was like, "Really? We're talking about custom GPTs? Like, aren't we beyond that?" And then she saved it in her freaking highlights as one of her highlights on her Instagram account. So no wonder women don't want to show up,
Yeah.
because there's jerk faces out there.
Yeah.
But we need to work through that and just like put our, if you don't feel that you have a seat at the table, first of all, no, you have a seat at our table, because Kelley and I will always make room for you. Second of all, go create your own table.
Yeah. Yeah. Which is where this came from. And I think it goes back to that courage, right? Like, I really think that, which I just want to like,
Kelley, that's the second C. So it's clarity, courage, and then confidence.
okay.
I'll take it.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because, and I don't want to stereotype females, but it's like, I think it's a scarier space to be in, because I do think that unfortunately females are not in this, not all females are in the space where we are lifting each other up. Like, I think that there's some, whether it's a competition or it's just, there's so much around females tearing other females down. And it's just like, it's something that's been societal that I think that, like, I don't see male leaders in the AI space bashing other male leaders in the AI space.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I was like thinking that, but then I think what actually happens is, so Adrian Brambilla, do you know him?
No.
Okay, he's awesome, and I spent a lot of time with him in real life, and he has this whole thing about virality on Facebook. Somehow, he and Austin Armstrong got into this like fake argument on Facebook, and in real life, they're like actually totally good friends and awesome, but they will do posts that are like trashing or trolling the other one. And those of us that are in the community with them know that it's a joke.
Right.
But I think there are a lot of people out there that think that it's real. And I think that's more likely to be like a funny kind of just like,
Sure.
and again, not to be stereotypical, but more of
Yeah,
like
yeah.
just that we can make fun of each other and then move on.
Yeah.
But that woman writing that about
Yeah.
me, I don't feel like it's funny.
Right.
It doesn't feel like I'm poking fun. It feels like she's out for blood.
Yeah.
I don't play that way. I know you don't play that way. And so it's a weird thing.
Yeah, it is a really weird thing. And I do think, I mean, that was part of, and I know you worked so hard to create this culture in your communities. And it's certainly something that I strive to mimic. Learning from you with Women Who AI is like, it's a non-judgmental, kind, all accepting environment. I mean, there really is no space. Like, Lord knows life just tears us down because out the real world anyways. But it's definitely something that I feel like, um, happens for whatever reason in the space. And I do think being a female who is ready to be like, oh, is that seat at the table empty? I'm just going to go ahead and sit down, even though I wasn't invited. It's a scary space to be in because
And the tech is changing so fast.
Yeah.
And there's this like stigma that if you're not up on the newest, latest, coolest thing, all of a sudden you're an idiot, which I think the more we can be open about the fact that we haven't done all the things, the better. Again, I was on this interview today and I'm so obsessed with Claude Code, but it's also like a lot to learn.
Mhm.
And so I noticed when I go to find videos on Claude Code, they're almost all men. Like Sabrina Ramanoff has some, but even her videos are so like they're so codey.
Yeah.
And I think it scares people away. So on this thing, we were talking about connecting Notebook with Claude Code.
Mhm.
And I yesterday was trying to do it. And I was like, I heard people talk about it, but I couldn't actually see where you do it. And on this interview, he was like, yeah, it's amazing. And I said, oh yeah, it's so cool. Can you show us how to do? Like I tried to kind of, without me saying that I hadn't done it, I tried to put it back to him to be like, let's make a tutorial right now on this call.
Yeah.
And then he asked me flat out, like, have you done it? And I thought, do I lie in this moment? Yeah. But I didn't. I said, no, actually, this stuff is changing so fast. So I've been playing with a lot of things. I was kind of trying to set it up yesterday. I haven't ever done it. I would love you to show me how. And I was like, the more that I can be open about the fact that I don't know everything, the better, because it's impossible for anyone to know everything right now.
It is. And I think that's part of like being someone who makes history, like who leaves their mark. It's the people that aren't afraid to be like, nobody knows everything about everything. It's like completely impossible. And I am going to say that there was an instance a couple months ago where one of the leaders in our space, not a female, but one of the leaders in our space, jumped right on a new AI platform. Hundreds of people followed suit. And then that platform like disappeared, like took people's credit cards, disappeared. You may or may not know who I'm talking about. I'm not going to name any names, but I'm like, that's not how you make history. Like you don't, right? Like that's not how we want to make history. And I think it's safer to say, I haven't done anything about it yet because I'm still exploring. I'm still testing. I'm still trying to understand it.
I also am trying to be careful about, I have some ideas about what you're talking about, but let's just talk about OpenClaw. When that first came out, so for example, with OpenClaw or whatever, ClaudeBot / MoltClaw, blah, 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 MoltBot, whatever. I was on the Marketers Cruise and I was emceeing the Marketers Cruise and speaking, and it's possibly the hardest I've ever worked in my entire life. I wasn't online. So I heard Mike Felsame talk about it and he kept saying OpenClaw, and I heard Claude like Anthropic because it's the same freaking word, it's just spelled differently. So I thought it was Claude because I hadn't been on the computer because I was actually doing something in real life. And when I got back, I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
But then I also realized I'm not going to go out and just talk about this because I know our community members could be damaging their business and their life by jumping into something that. So I purposely slowed myself down, which I know, like I've talked to Austin Armstrong about it a lot too. And now a lot of the other tools have caught up where you don't even need something that complicated.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure. And I think that's a really big piece, right? I really just think when we're talking about like how do we leave our mark, you know, there's so much that you've done that has left a mark. I think not, I mean, in AI, but like in other places as well. But I think it's because you're not only intentional, but you have your ethics and your values and always in mind, always. And, I think that's a big piece. I think that that leaves a longer mark and that is more of what people remember when we're talking about like making a mark in history and longevity. Like, why is your content club still around when there are so many other ones popping up? It's because
Yeah.
you always lead with your values and you stick clear to that. And I hardly ever see you stray from what you know is right or wrong, even if it means you're not the first person to get out there and things like that. And so
Yeah.
I think that's
And
another part of it.
I think that's so important thank you. And I think it's so important for all of us to do whatever your actual values are.
Yeah.
It's not going to be the same for everybody. So one of the best compliments people can give me is that when they see me in real life, they're like, "Oh, you're the same person that you are online." Like that is what I strive for. And I think it's a skill set. And as my camera keeps moving around, I need to turn it off so it just stays still. It's a robot on its own. I do think, I mean, even that, like the way that you respond to tech things going weird,
Mhm.
like the more that you can be comfortable in who you are, the better, because it's exhausting to try and pretend like you're somebody else. But one of my values is standing for joy as a fierce form of activism. And over the holidays, I allowed myself to get sucked in to some dumb, like political news arguments with people. And I realized it did not serve me. I'm trying to fix this camera. Hold on one second, really quick. Oh, I lost my cursor. Is there? Okay, I fixed it. So for me, I have a hard rule. When I find myself starting to get sucked into like drama, I'm like
Yeah.
focus on the joy because
Yeah.
I know that's how I'm most impactful. It may
Yeah.
not be the same for everybody, but that's what it is for me.
Yeah. Well, we'll leave people with this. I know that you talked about showing up, and that is one reason why you think just there is not more women making history at this moment in the AI space. But like, what would you tell everybody who's watching this, all of the women that are like, I do want to make my mark. Like, I am ready to do something that leaves a legacy, that leaves some kind of milestone behind. What advice would you give them?
Yeah, so I'm going to give you a little like system so that you can actually have a checklist of what to do. So the first thing is figure out what the heck you want, right? Like we talked about, what is that dream? What's the like big transformation you want to make in the world? The next, when I did that, it turned my camera back on. Move around.
They're not moving.
Well, if I start moving, it like flat.
Huh?
Oh my gosh. I'm going to keep my hands down. So the first is hands down. The first is figure out what you want in your life. Really what's that big transformation you want to make. The next is figure out what it is that makes you weird. Figure out the things that make you unique and different. And so much so, I would suggest that you actually make a glossary of the weird words that you use. Like legit, write it down. What is the weird shiz that you say? Shiz is on my list of the weird things I say. And if you don't know, talk to AI and ask it, right? So figure out what makes you weird. The next is you've really got to figure out who you want to connect with, what types of people you want to serve. And if you're not really sure, go jump into what I call these awareness playgrounds, right? Like go talk to people and kind of let yourself feel into what feels good. And then start posting, start showing up and go to events. When people ask like, oh, who wants to share something on the mic? Get on the frickin' mic. Who has a question? Kelley knows I'm psycho. At the high level event, they had OpenAI there and they were like, great, we're going to open up before they even got the word questions out. I was like running full steam to the microphone, not even knowing what I was going to ask. But I knew that if I had a chance to be on a microphone in front of people in this space, I was going to do it. So any chance you can get on a microphone, do it. Get on podcasts, start creating your own content, like talk to human beings.
Yeah. I love it. Well, you've heard it. I mean, show up, right? Clarity,
Courage.
and confidence. So many things. And I think, again, I think it's so important. I think we allow ourselves to just sit in the third row a lot.
Can we tell that story really quick? Do you know what? So when we were at I forgot about this story. When we were at that AI event on Valentine's Day back in the day, it was me, Kelley, and a few other friends of ours. And they were like, oh, I saved some seats over here, like literally in the back row. And I was like, oh, friends, we're not sitting in the back row. I'm going to go to the front. And everybody said no. So I went by myself to the front row, and I was wearing these psycho sparkly pants that I wear. And I had my legs crossed. What ends up being like one of the main photos they post at this event, it's a picture of the audience, and it's like my sparkly front of the picture, very serious, and a sea of men.
Yeah.
Kelley and everybody else was sitting in the back row. And I was like, you guys, that's why we got to get to the front row.
Yeah. It's so true. It's so true. Yeah. Show up. Absolutely. Well, thank you. Always fun to have a conversation. If you don't know, Molly and I totally didn't plan what we were going to say because we just knew we were going to have a random conversation. And if you don't know Molly, I don't know where you've been, but she is part of our amazing Women Who AI community. We will make sure that everything is linked. If you're looking for a content club, her AI content club is the way to go. And she has so many amazing levels and communities from there on after. So thank you, Molly. When I think about women who make history, you, of course, are at the top of my list. And a lot of
I found on my desk.
Oh,
Elphaba and Galinda. We're little friends. So thank you for helping to change my life for good.
All right, everybody. Thanks for joining us in this little celebration of Women History Month. And you heard from Molly. Show up.
That's a wrap on today's episode of the Women Who AI podcast. If this conversation gave you something, a spark, a strategy, or just a reminder that you belong in this space, share it with a woman in your life who needs to hear it. And if you haven't already, subscribe wherever you listen, leave us a review, and most importantly, come find us inside the Women Who AI community. I'm Kelley Tenny, and I'll see you in the front row.